Good evening. How everyone doing today? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma Jill Spears Divine. I'm here to give you a little shout news on today. Um, the name of this title gonna be hate crime. You remember Buffalo supermarket that had the shooting. So he pleaded guilty. To terrorist and murder charges. So Peyton's fatal shot 10 people. At the top supermarket. Payton pleaded guilty on Monday to state charges stemming from May shooting supermarket in Buffalo, New York. So he pleaded guilty to 15 charges in all, including domestic terrorist and motivated by hate, murder and attempt murder. He still faces more than 2 dozen federal charges. Some of which carry the possibility of death penalty. His sentence is scheduled for February the 15th, 2023. That's next year. So domestic terrorists, motive hate carry mandatory life sentence. So he might be having life sentence. Nothing will ever bring back the 10 people who lost their lives on that day. Even though he played guilty, but that still can bring these people back. The lives that he done took. Even though the trials and he pleaded guilty, they're you know, never going to be full closure for the family. Because they will still be mourning for the family they lost. So Peyton by a fatal shooting 10 black people because of the perceived race or color of the victim. According to the indictment by the Erie County District Attorney, he was charged with carrying out a domestic act of terrorist motive by hate. So he did all this here over hate. And he did background checks. He was all online. He prepared himself for that moment. So 10 count of murder in the first degree, 10 count of murder in the second degree as a hate crime. So he have all these counts on him. 3 counts of attempt murder as a hate crime. 1 count of criminal possession of a weapon. So he have all these accounts on him. You know, so Fly said Peyton illegal modified had his gun, practice shooting. And he also practiced shooting for this moment. He prepared everything for this moment. That's how much hate he had in his heart, at state parks in Broome County. And he also wrote 180 pages of racist scenes that also contained the names of the past massive shooter that he admired. So he wrote 180. That's also a book, 180 pages. That's a lot of pages of racist, that he wrote about. What he was gonna do. So he prepared himself for that moment. So white super superior online. He went online, including the promotion of racist conspiracy. Theories had been linked to passing. So he a lot of stuff was linked to him. So they're investigating a whole lot of stuff, and this motive behind the Buffalo attack. So he was online, and they said a lot of stuff was linked to him, to his page. So they're gonna investigate who was helping him with all this here. So Peyton traveled. He also traveled from home um, near from Binghamton, for New York. To carry out the shooting, according to officer. So he was near. He traveled from his home near, Binghamton, New York. To carry out this hatred thing that he did. A document of Peyton uncovered by investigator, outlined the goals behind the attack, which was to kill as many African American as possible. So he was aiming, you know, he was aiming to do what he had wanted to do. He prepared himself. He even went to a shooting range, practice shooting and stuff, went online, so he prepared himself for that horrible day. So the document also detailed the defendant hateful belief in special specifical, hatred for African Americans, you know, Jewish people, immigrants, and um, and other races. He the first to be charged with domestic terrorism motivated by hate in New York under a 2020 statute, Texas shooting targeting, in 2019. So 2019, we had all that shooting at the school in Texas. So his decision to plead guilty would deliver the family some justice. So it would deliver the family justice, but it would not end the races that drove him to kill in the first place. You know, so say Reverend Al, Sharpton, founder of the president of civil rights group National Action Network, and that's what he said. He said he plead guilty, and that's justice for the family, but it still to change the fact that so much hatred in his heart drove him to kill those people. So that's a horrible day was by productive of a white superior so brutal that its followers don't hide under a hood. Their live scream their hate for everyone to see. So what he did, he didn't hide under the hood. He did it out in the open for everyone to see. What he was doing. That's how much hate he had in his heart. You know, live screens that hate for everyone to see. He wanted everyone to see, referring to the live screen of the shooting captured by the camera. On Patton Hammer. During the attack. So the family of Buffalo victim are expecting to speak on the hearing. The hearing is next year in 2023. So this is the story, the update of Buffalo shoot. It was a hate crime. He wanted to kill how many is possible of Black America. And he prepared everything for that moment. He went out online getting research and he practiced on shooting. He did so much stuff behind the scenes, and he pleaded guilty to 15 charges. And they scheduled, for a hearing. Scheduled for his sentence is scheduled for February the 15th, 2023, and the family wants to be there to speak on it. They have the right to speak on it. And I just want to say, it everyone needs to not this dude here. He had so much hatred in it. When you build up so much hatred in your heart for someone, eventually you will act on it like he did. He act on what he had built up inside of him. Just like Mr. Al Reverend Al said, you know, what drove him to it is just that he had it so much in his heart. He had no telling how long he had hatred in his heart. When you got hatred in your heart and you let it burn all over your soul like that, eventually you will act on it and you'll do just like he did. So a lot of time, if anyone have hatred in your heart, you have to release it. Because you don't release it, you're gonna be drove to do something you're gonna regret. And for his case, he don't regret it. He plead guilty to it. He said he wanted to kill more, so many. He wanted to bring so many down. He wanted to kill so many people. So he don't regret what he did. He just have so much hatred in his heart. So he don't regret what he did. And just like Mr. L said, he wants to know what drove him to that. What drove him to it that he had that inside of his heart. No telling how long, he had all that hatred built up in his heart. You cannot build up that hatred in your heart. At some point in time, you have to release it. Because you don't release it, you will do something crazy that you're gonna regret. And in some cases, like him, he don't regret so that's all the news I have for you on today. It was just an update on Buffalo shooting that he did plead guilty, and he will be guilty to 15 charges. He don't feel no regrets for what he did. He did research. He said he want to kill many as possible. All black American. He just wanted to kill them. And that's what he had in his heart, and that's what he released in action. Because whatever in your heart, you will eventually you will act on it. So I see y'all on the next video, and y'all have a blessed and safe day.